So we're going to spend the next 3 days going over product development. It's so long that I've broken it down into 3 sections. It's a little bit more manageable. So let's get going with it. So they look at both new product and new service development. NPD doing new product development and SD being new service development. Supply management plays a key role in new product handover to production or the selection of suppliers. Customer requirements. A needs analysis is important in understanding the customer's needs and wants, and mostly what the customer is willing to pay for. They may want a lot of stuff, but they might not be willing to pay for it. There are 4 key pieces of information that need to be obtained from customers. What's the problem? Who has the problem? How important is the problem solution to the customer, and how valuable is the problem solution to the customer? Meaning, will they pay you for it? If they're not going to pay you for it, don't develop it. It's just kind of the way it goes. Product development teams. So teams range from a few people to hundreds of people. Here at Packard, it's more like hundreds. Teams should be cross-functional. Involvement of back office operations staff, customer, frontline staff, and suppliers is also critical. You got to include diverse backgrounds to get good solutions. And critical practice is the use of concurrent engineering to capture input from stakeholders. So concurrent engineering, otherwise known as CE, is a work methodology emphasizing parallelization of tasks. In other words, you're not waiting for sequence of one to get done before you start the other. You start them both around the same time, which is sometimes called simultaneous engineering. So concurrent engineering or simultaneous engineering is the same thing. Also, integrated product development has been used a time or two, using an integrated product team approach. So they all mean the same thing. It's basically concurrent or simultaneous engineering. Refers to an approach used in product development in which functions of design, engineering, manufacturing, engineering, and other functions are integrated to reduce the time required to bring a new product to market. This is the cross-functional team. Cost management. When products are developed, a target cost needs to be set. We'll cover this more on the 3rd day. Standard costing. We use it here at Packard, but it's an accounting convention. Purchasing doesn't use a standard cost. Like at most other smaller firms, purchasing will have to buy to a standard cost. Focus on cost control, meeting the standard. And then if purchasing isn't buying to the standard cost for the part, then you end up with this purchase price variance. But Packard doesn't really do any of that because we just do a year-long contract for a low price. Expected price is the full cost of the product derived from the estimates of selling price constrained by the marketplace. Basically, how much can you get for the new truck? Target cost is equal to the expected price, which is here, minus the desired profit. This will yield your maximum cost you can incur to achieve the required profit. But this cost includes not only the supplier's part cost, but also your internal manufacturing costs. And then you've got target cost strategies, cost reduction program. DFMA is all about cost reduction and these target cost strategies. It's looking at materials, the number of parts, that type of thing. Cost disclosure and understanding, so sharing information with the supply base when we send them the cost breakdown sheet. Continuous improvement, Kaizen costing, another name for it. Shift for the focus of the organization toward the customer. So there's a question for you that you'll see on the test probably. Continuous improvement shifts the focus of the organization toward the customer. And improved communications and early involvement. builds a platform of mutual understanding. They're talking about with the supply base, improve communication and early involvement. Work with supply base to reduce the cost. That goes back in the DFMA, number of parts, type of material, tolerances, all that stuff. Then you've got early purchasing involvement. Why procurement should be brought into the design early in the design process. And procurement's got to go climb this pyramid here. Procurement brings insight into supply markets. Has an idea of the availability of particular types of materials, knows potential sources of supply, can assist with conducting value engineering and analysis, can assist with standardization through specific development. So that's EPI, which is not a very commonly used acronym. But early supplier involvement, ESI, is very common. It's a practice that brings together one or more suppliers with the product development team early in the development process. The objective is to use the supplier's expertise and experience in developing a product that is designed effectively and efficiently. Be careful about giving away leverage to the supply base. So Boeing had a problem with this in their Dreamliner, the latest plane that they developed. They didn't want to develop a lot of parts internally, so they developed them with the supply base, but they didn't have very good agreements with the supply base. So the supply base went, and as soon as they developed it for Boeing 787, they went and sold it to Airbus. And Airbus came out with a plastic plane really quick. You also don't need every supplier in early, just the ones that are important to you at an early stage. So here's a kind of a bringing in different suppliers at different stages. You got idea generation, assessment, concept development, design, and then upscaling, which is volume increase, basically. So earlier in the idea generation, in the technical assessment, you want to bring in particular suppliers of complex items, engines, transmissions, axles, suppliers of systems or subsystems, maybe cooling, suppliers of critical items or technologies. This could be brakes, and strategic alliance suppliers. Most of our powertrain suppliers are strategic alliance suppliers. You're going to want to bring those guys in early. Later in the middle in concept development, you'll be looking to bring in guys that have tools that take more than 9 months to make. These are hoods, roofs, injection molded plastic parts. These all have long lead tools on them. That's the next group you bring in. And then towards the end, when you're designing, suppliers of simpler items, suppliers of single components, less critical items or technologies, and non-allied suppliers. This is, everything else. The manufacturing process, know both yours and the suppliers, then optimize the two to get the best quality. Easier said than done. Capital acquisitions budget. Purchasing can develop a list of suppliers that can provide a specific asset, as an early selection can ensure capital assets do not become a bottleneck. Product or service development implementation. Suppliers can provide prototypes, models, and pre-production samples. They can also provide useful cost information on design options. And then quality ESI in the development of specifications will help reduce the cost of quality. This is the tolerancing. Suppliers can also help with development of quality requirements and quality as a result of pre-planning and preparation. More on ESI. Availability. Through accurate forecasts, the supplier can ensure that they have the capacity to meet the required need when the product launches, hopefully. Technology, supplier expertise in the technology arena can be helpful to design engineering. We use this quite a bit at PACCAR. Early in the process, supply management and internal design stakeholders should choose a group of suppliers with which they are willing to work. And then in the design, Companies who have long-term relationships with suppliers can often have their designers seek the advice of the suppliers, and they often get it for free. Suppliers' intellectual property must be protected, and usually, well, you always need an NDA between us and the supplier before you start discussing designs. Product co-development. Using suppliers in the co-development of a product provides for sharing of development costs. Usually implies a formal agreement. Who's going to own the IP? And the big issue is, again, with the 787, what can the supplier do with that technology that they co-develop with us? Can they sell it to anybody they want? Co-development also implies giving up some future profits on the product. Cycle time. Total cycle time can be reduced by early development of relationships with suppliers. These can assist with the elimination of redundancies in product development, etc. And process design integration. Manufacturing planning for the new process to make the new product must be integrated into existing operations, both at your company and the suppliers. So design of products, materials, components has considerable cost impact on making them fit with current equipment and setup processes. And this is just another, bring the supplier in early. Design process execution. After all aspects of the product and process design have been addressed, the design team completes the design. The purchasing role will be to begin the procurement of any materials and tooling needed. And then you've got validation and testing. Once the new design is fully developed, it should be validated and tested where it would typically be used to determine if it will perform as desired. At the end of this stage, a decision is made whether to postpone or to launch the new product. So here's the more formal ISM development process. It's got 5 stages. Generate screen ideas. You're looking at market research, things like that. Obtain concept approval. You need a business plan. You need staffing requirements, production capabilities, financial and market assessment, technical assessment. And then you go design the product or develop the product concept. So come up with staffing plans and distribution plans and production plans, supply contracts, etc. Then you validate and test. So marketing, you also need a marketing plan there. And then you formalize your production, staffing, and distribution plans. And then you launch and commercialize. You revise your marketing plan, distribution plan, and staffing plan as necessary. And look at your market response data. So this just goes over the same 5 steps. Generate and screen ideas, market research, forecast and product design, information inputs, breakthrough ideas, incremental ideas, derivative ideas, customized ideas. And then obtain concept approval. So you need a preliminary market, financial, and technical assessment. Market analysis, you need a business plan, staffing requirements. What are your plans to make? How are your plans going to be to make money on this? And then develop a business case, which is how you're going to show them how you're going to make money, which has the cost analysis, environmental constraints, market size, expected revenue, expected profit. Use a scorecard to evaluate the project and present to senior management. This is what one could look like. So fit with the mission, competitive advantage, market evaluation, core competencies, technical capabilities, financial impact, and scoring. And then further on, you're now into the developing the product concept or design. The quality function deployment we use here at Becker, complete design specification, build the prototype. Then you validate and test. So you have to do the VV run, volume verification, which is a run at rate. Marketing plans, then formalize your production, staffing, and distribution plans. And then launch and commercialize is the last step. You look at the market response data, and you revise any plans you need to. So here's the PACCAR's tollgate process, informally called tollgate. It's really the PCP, or product creation process. And it's 5 phases with 5 gates, or toll gates. So phase 0, you're looking at market justification, capital expense. Then you go through toll gate 0 into phase 2, or phase 1, where marketing comes up with their book of wishes. What do we want it to look like? Program definition, styling review, capital expense again. Then you go through tollgate 1 into phase 2, which is program plan. Program description book is the answer to marketing's book of wishes, or product planning's book of wishes. This is engineering saying, yeah, I know you wanted that in your book of wishes, but we can't do that. What we can do is this: concept review, business plan. Then you go through tollgate 2 into phase 3, which is basically engineering design. And then you go into phase 4, which is validation and implementation. And phase five is a program summary and lessons learned. All right. In the early stages of engagement with suppliers, which factors are the best consideration when managing early supplier involvement, or ESI? Any guesses?
I would think it's A, technology, design, cost, co-development, quality, intellectual property, and risk management.
That's what I would go with. Why? Because it's the longest answer. Covers the most ground. Let's see what they say. It is A. Look at that. All right, I think, yeah. So now we only got one because we pick up section B tomorrow. So out on the chat is the questions. Do the first 5 questions, and we'll get back together at 5 till 3:55. Go over the answers. You guys can just raise your hand when you get done. Let's see here. All right. We got everybody here. Yeah. Okay. Over some answers here. Number 1 is Charlie. Because there are 5 steps associated with new product development process. The second step, which is to obtain concept approval, includes preliminary market, financial, and technical assessment. 2 is Delta. Procurement should be involved to contract for design services, find sourcing, and if so, doing supplemental internal marketing resources. It is not involved in designing the marketing materials. So everything but 2 would be the answer there. 3 is Charlie. There has been a trend toward early supply management involvement, which is a practice that involves supply professionals in the new product or service development process from its inception. And 4 is Bravo. Early supplier involvement is the bringing together of suppliers in the design community during the product development process. And then 5 is Delta. The ability to better plan and communicate with suppliers should make inventories go down, not increase. You see them do that quite a bit. You got to really read these things carefully. It's just this word here. Increased inventories. No, not increased. They would decrease inventories. Okay, tomorrow we will work on the second section. Talk to you later.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, bye.